Canada is one of the countries that really didn't accept many Jews before the war. I'm wondering, how does that make you feel?
It made you feel that you're really nobody, you know, because we were stateless Jews, and America had a very bad quota system. I mean,
Canada's was worse.
And Canada was probably worse. And there were many people who didn't want all these stateless Jews, you know. And so there was no place to go, and we had to get out in a hurry because my father had this summons from the Gestapo to meet with them on the 21st of May, 1939, okay? We got out on the 19th of May, 1939. And only because someone had told my father, you could go to Shanghai, it's an open port, and if you could get yourself over there somehow, you might be safe.
Getting out probably saved your life.
Yeah, absolutely. If we had stayed in Germany, my mother never wanted to leave anyhow because of her parents, but they left because of my sister and me. They wanted to save us. And that's how we got out. If we hadn't gone to Shanghai, I wouldn't be here. That was an open port, and about almost 20,000 Jewish people from Germany and Austria, and also some from Poland, managed to make it out, to get over there. And that's a chapter of Holocaust history that's not very well known.
No.
It's become better known now because people are writing books and there are movies out and so forth, documentary films. It was terrible. We came home from school, my sister and I, and my mother said we have to go straight home. And
it was brewing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she sensed it was coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, they knew what was happening, but they tried to shelter us. They wanted us to have a good childhood. And they didn't want us to know that there were all these bad things happening, that people were being taken away and never heard from again, and people were being knocked down on the street. And she said, whatever you see on the street, keep going. Just look down. Don't even stop. And I thought to myself, I was, 8 years old then. I thought if I could just become invisible, that would be even better. But Kristallnacht itself, my father fortunately had come home from work, and he had a very good job with the stationery firm. And we sat on the floor in our apartment in the dark, and we were told not to make a sound. She didn't want the neighbors to know that we were home. And we could hear the screaming and the yelling outside, and people looking for Jews and yelling, saying, you know, kill the Jews and all that. And that made an impression, you know.
I can't even imagine.
No. And then we stayed home for a day or so after that. And then we went out and we saw our synagogue was in all ashes, you know. They had burnt it down. And there was so much glass on the street. And they had Jewish people come out with their toothbrushes, I'm not making this up, and had them kneel on the street and scrub the street while people were around there jeering at them. Fortunately, when we got to Shanghai, there was help by refugee organizations, American organizations, and the art people, you know, and also some local Russian Jews helped. And then came World War II, and it was all over again.
Then the Japanese were in charge.
Then the Japanese, they were right there all the time. And then they took over. And if you had been an American or a British or a Dutch citizen, they would have put you in a detention camp, and that was very bad. It wasn't like a concentration camp, but it was close. They didn't kill you in there, but there was not enough food and hygiene. It was
you
bad.
weren't allowed to leave at that point, right?
Oh, no. Where would we go? We had no papers. We were stuck there. And then they looked around, the Japanese looked around and saw all these refugees, German refugees, Jewish refugees. And they didn't know what to do with us, because we're kind of in a gray zone there, you know. And so the German government sent a Colonel Meisinger over. He was at that point, I think he was in Japan. And he said to the Japanese commanders, get rid of the Jews, you don't need them. Put them on ships and send the ships out to sea and drown them. Or he brought with him, and this is true, I'm not making it up, he brought with him a Cyclone B gas container and said, we're using this in Europe and it works and you could use that. You only have about 20,000 Jews here. But the Japanese, for reasons of their own, did not want to go that far. And instead of that, they put us into what they called a segregated area. It was a ghetto, okay?
You ended up in a ghetto in China.
In China, in Hangzhou, in the other side of the Garden Bridge.
The Zoom call was amazing. So there's these two women who look unbelievable at 90, 91, right? And all the families are watching in the background. We were all muted and off screen. It was just the two women. And they start jabbering at each other in German. And we're getting translations in the chat room, Spanish for those in South America, English for those in North America. And they're just getting right back into it. And they go for about 45 minutes.
At least.
At least. And then the organizers of the Zoom bring on all of our family to say hi to the family in South America. And then we come off and they bring all the South America families to say hi to us. And there's 3 or 4 generations on each side. And everybody is having bubbly and
we're all drinking.
It's a big celebration. It's a big celebration, yes.
I can't even imagine. That is really, really neat. And her family felt the same way.
Yes.
The same way that you did.
Oh, smiles, lots and lots of smiles.
And tears.
Tears, yes.
Except I didn't cry and Ana María didn't cry.
No, the two of them, not, but for the rest of us.
We're
strong.
Were
happy.
Yeah. We were strong.
You were just happy.
And we were happy,
yeah.
They saw the romantic part of it,
yes.
But you just saw the practical, my friend is back.
And as soon as she started talking with me and I talked with her, there was a connection there right away. It's not like, oh my goodness, who's this old lady over there, Nothing like that.
How did you find out what happened?
I found out from my director of education and research, Ursula Szapinska, and my deputy director, Aaron Blankenship. And they had gotten a call from one of our partners at the USC Shoah Foundation. And there was all this conversation about, Betty tells her story. She talks about her friend Ana María. And there was all this story, the incredible coincidence of someone at USC Shoah Foundation happened to speak Spanish, happened to be part of a memorial event, a commemoration event for Kristallnacht, where the original speaker was not available. This other woman came in, took her place, and started telling a story. And to make those connections, again, I go
all
back
sorts
to
of weird things had to happen.
I mean, it is extraordinary. And that everyone was already partners. And one of the exciting outcomes of this is we are creating a partnership now with the Holocaust Museum in Chile as well. So it's really been something that not only lifted up these two women and lifted us all up personally, but it's going to lift up all of our institutions as well.
Were you part of the call, the Zoom call? No.
So I was not part of the first Zoom call. There was staff on it from our museum, but not me. I was part of the birthday party call that we did, a later call, because I think it's important. I did see the call and I read the transcription, and to watch these women reconnect on screen it was so emotional. It was just incredibly emotional, not only for the people that were on the call, but for those of us who were watching.
What was it that made it emotional? Is it friendship partly, or is it what they went through? I'm wondering, was it?
So as we're talking, I'm tearing up, remembering it. So I think it's that friendship, that connection that's so important. And so we, of course, look at this story through the lens of the Holocaust, but the truth is so much larger than that. To watch two women who had a connection at an early time in their life find that reconnection, it just reminds us all of how important and how enduring friendship is in all of our lives. That it was these two women who went through so much, who lived this story during the Holocaust, that made it sweeter, perhaps more bittersweet.